This is a special presentation from News Channel Nebraska. This broadcast on News Channel Nebraska is presented by Nebraska Orthopedic Center, Farmers Mutual, Pepsi Cola of Lincoln, and by Nebraska Medical Association.
And welcome to Lincoln, Nebraska. We are here in the rail yard. We have hundreds of people in the audience. Let's hear some cheers from those in attendance here for the first ever Cornhusker State Games opening night broadcast. We're glad everyone that is here, as well as those watching statewide on News Channel Nebraska. I'm Brandon Axman alongside Dave Monerick, who is the executive director of the Nebraska Sports Council and the one who helps make all the magic happen here tonight and through the Cornhusker State Games. Yeah, give it up for Dave. Dave's a good guy. So Dave, first off, let's talk about what is happening here tonight. We've deviated a little bit from tradition.
Well, first off, I don't make much of anything happen. A lot of these people, most of these people that are out here tonight, they make it all happen. People give of their time, of their funding to help make the Nebraska Sports Council and the Cornhusker State Games possible. But what we're here tonight for is to celebrate sports, and most specifically, the sports that everybody can play. It's the Cornhusker State Games, a tradition that's been going now for 39 years. This is the 39th annual. We have 70-plus sports, competition weekends all throughout July. A little bit of a light schedule this weekend, but the games do kick off tomorrow with swimming in Fremont at the Fremont Y with youth swimming. And those 70 sports will happen over 4 weekends. And it's people of all ages, all abilities from all corners of Nebraska. And they're doing it because they love it and having fun at it. So that's what the Cornhusker State Games are about.
And what can we expect tonight here as we get ready to kick off the Cornhusker State Games?
Well, a lot of the people in this audience are used to our traditional opening ceremonies, and that looks a lot like what the Olympic opening ceremonies would look like. Well, we decided to try something different, try something a little more compact, and we knew if we switched the format that the weather would be awesome. And guess what?
Mother Nature cooperated.
That one thing sure worked. No, we're excited to try a little bit different format, abbreviated program where we have a torch lighting. We have 4 outstanding athletes, 3 Huskers, current Huskers, 1 former Husker, and we're going to celebrate their careers and all of their achievements. And these are people chosen because they represent Nebraska well, they represent athletics well, and they're people that all the participants who are here and across the state can look up to.
Well, you have amazing athletes we'll be seeing shortly. Also some pretty big names to our left. Governor Jim Pillen as well as General Bohack with us, and we're going to hear from both of them. Now let's give it a round of applause for the Governor, General Bohack. Thank you. Well, Governor Pillen, let's start things off. Pretty simple question. What does the Cornhusker State Games mean to Nebraska? You heard Dave sort of give the why of it.
Well, I think obviously been going on a number of years. For us young people, we get really fired up thinking back in the entry, and I was just sharing with some folks how in the early days after we had gotten back to Nebraska and coming in the first and second year, and some said friendly competition. Well, when we competed in the games, we wanted to win, right? And
absolutely.
So we played 3-on-3 basketball, and 3-on-3 basketball got really intense, but it was so much fun, and it was really cool to watch the evolution of my kids, and then now my grandkids. My oldest grandson's going to do golf Saturday, so it's really cool. It brings Nebraska together. Sports, what I love about sports, it's life 101, right? It is. It helps us compete. If we get knocked down, we figure out if are we gonna lay down and cry, or are we gonna get up and make things better? And that's Nebraska. It's what we learn through the whole process, and we all get up and make things better for Nebraska.
Governor Pillen, appreciate the comments. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you for having me here.
Round of applause again for the governor as we now bring in General Darrell Bohack, whose tenure is ending in just 2 days after serving the state of Nebraska. And there's been a strong partnership throughout your tenure with the National Guard and the Cornhusker State Games. Why was that so important to you?
Yeah, definitely. Well, so Brandon, the reason is because our values align. And so one of the number one reasons of the top 3 reasons that young people today can't join the military is their inability to physically perform. And so partnering with the Cornhusker State Games, and as Dave talked about, making accessible to all Nebraskans for all sports, it just lines up with us right well.
Now, throughout your tenure, and specifically the past 10 years when you've led the Guard through training, multiple deployments, and of course, there's been some natural disasters the state has seen.
A few.
What have you learned about Nebraskans in general and your troops throughout the process?
Yeah, for both Nebraskans and the women and men that serve in the Nebraska National Guard, they're amazingly resilient people and will rise up to help their neighbors. And if we learn nothing else from the 2019 epic flooding in this state, is that's exactly what happened, is neighbors helping neighbors, Nebraskans helping Nebraskans.
Well, lastly, we have about a minute before our first TV timeout. What is next for
Yeah,
you?
so I get that question a lot, Brandon, and so my first response is not much, but I'm going to take some time to reflect and think about what I want to do next, and maybe most importantly, what I don't want to do next.
Well, General, thank you very much for the time, both you and Governor Pillen. Here we are live in Lincoln at the first ever Cornhusker State Games opening night show. Stay with us. We're going to take one more break and get ready for the national anthem when we return here in the Rail Yard.
The Nebraska Sports Council proudly salutes the presenting partners of Cornhusker State Games opening night. Liberty First Credit Union. Visit Lincoln. And Arby's of Lincoln.
Does your business need quick, competitive financing for heavy machinery, trucks, or other equipment? Currency is here to help. Whether you're financing construction equipment, farm equipment, trucks, trailers, or any other big-ticket item, Currency will automatically find the best rates. Currency facilitates loans for up to $500,000 with repayment terms up to 72 months. It's fast, easy, and free to use. Visit gocurrency.com and apply today.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out with the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman. I love it.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
We're definitely coming back in the future.
We have a wedding band to buy. So.
We do, yes, the wedding bands. We'll be back for that.
Starter Heyman Jewelers, downtown 12th and O, South Point Pavilions, and Grand Island.
The Nebraska Sports Council proudly salutes our platinum partners. Farmers Mutual of Nebraska. Nebraska Medical Association. Nebraska Orthopedic Center. And Pepsi Cola of Lincoln.
This is News Channel Nebraska Daybreak.
NCN is your home for Nebraska news.
In our top story this hour,
Tune in all day long.
A developing story out of Northeast Nebraska.
Rural news,
See lower commodity prices.
high school and college sports,
Skyhawks took a 29-11 lead.
and weather every 10 minutes so you can plan your day.
So we do have a chance for some pretty heavy weather late tonight.
For Nebraska news, weather, and sports, turn to NCN all day, every day.
And welcome back here to Lincoln, Nebraska, the Rail Yard. Let's hear it from our live audience in downtown Lincoln. The first Cornhusker State Games opening ceremonies show, and we are glad to be here. It's time for the national anthem. Next to me is Bree Stye. Please rise and face the flag for tonight's national anthem, performed by UNL vocal performance major Bree Stye, who enjoyed a stellar sports career in both basketball and volleyball just down the road at Norris High School, all the while being heavily involved in music and theater. She's currently teaching at a youth theater and co-writing a musical with her sister based on Michael Jackson's greatest hits. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Bree Stye.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ladies and gentlemen, Bree Stye with the national anthem. Stay with us. We will be back with the torch lighting ceremony. Husker athletes will be lighting this cauldron behind me, and fireworks are just around the corner. We'll be back.
Life is a wild ride. It's important to have a trusted partner along the way. Liberty First Credit Union exists to provide its members with affordable financial services. Whether it is a large purchase, a new car or home remodel, overcoming obstacles, or chasing your dreams, financing life is what we do best. Give us a call or visit libertyfirstcu.com.
I started at John Henry's just an apprentice. I learned everything through John Henry's, went through all the schooling. They give you all the supplies you need, all the training. It's a really good program.
John Henry's took my breath away because we really do treat everyone as family. We have really good people here, and I love each and every one of them.
If you have no experience or if you're a licensed plumber, it's a great place to work at.
The Nebraska Sports Council proudly salutes the following contributing partners of Cornhusker State Games opening night: Black Hills Energy, Amigos Kings Classic, Creek Carrier Schaefer Trucking, and J&H Specialty Contracting.
At Nebraska Orthopedic Center, they provide comprehensive orthopedic health care. Their physicians are highly skilled in all areas of orthopedic and sports medicine, including spine surgery, foot and ankle, hand and upper extremities, fracture care, and total joint replacement. Their expertise includes the medical management of injuries through physical and rehabilitative methods or surgical intervention. To schedule an appointment or to learn more about Nebraska Orthopedic Center and their family of 25 physicians, go online to nebraskaortho.com. That's nebraskaortho.com. Nebraska Orthopedic Center is your healing destination. We are back live from the Rail Yard, Lincoln, Nebraska, for the Cornhusker State Games opening night show. Audience in attendance, let's hear from you again. Every time we come back from break, we need to hear you. We are moments away from our torch lighting sequence. We have about 40 seconds. Dave, what's about to happen?
Well, it's a relay, a torch relay, and it begins with Jordy Ball, who was last year's mystery torch lighter, in case you missed it. And it's fitting that she would pass the torch to this year's athletes. And we have two torch bearers before the official torch lighter, and they are Jess Gardner, Husker track athlete, very popular fan favorite. Yeah, we have some Jess Gardner fans, North Star kid, and Jazz Shelley, our adopted Australian Nebraskan. And then the final, of course, torch carrier and then eventual torch lighter is Nicklin Hames. We're celebrating her great Husker volleyball career.
30 seconds from going to the torch run, which you'll be able to watch on the screen behind us. What symbolizes this? About 15 seconds. Why do we do the torch run with the Cornhusker State Games?
Well, it's in the Olympic tradition, and it spreads the spirit of the games throughout the homeland. That's what the torch run and the torch lighting is all about. That fire represents the spirit we all feel when we compete with our friends against our opponents, and that's what it's all about.
Well, the wait's over. Let's go to the torch run being started off here at Bowlin Stadium.
Do you suppose Jordy felt comfortable there on the mound in Bowlin Stadium?
I think a lot of fans excited that that is her new home as she starts this whole thing off.
Amazing competitor, obviously. Papillion La Vista, great high school career, historical really nationally, two-time Gatorade Player of the Year, National Gatorade Player of the Year.
Well, and it may seem like a silly question, Dave, but what goes into the criteria for picking not only the torchlighter, but those involved in what we're seeing here tonight?
Well, it's an athlete that would inspire, especially young athletes in Nebraska. And this year's class is among the best we've had. It doesn't get any more as far as work ethic, as far as being a congenial competitor, but also having that competitive drive that wins championships than Jordy Ball.
Also, a couple people with her, correct? Who do we have with Jordy Ball right behind her?
Yeah, General Bohack was up here, and of course, we've always had a great relationship with the Nebraska National Guard, and now she's passing the torch to Jess Gardner, the track and field athlete. So the runners in the white tops are National Guard soldiers from right here in Nebraska, and they are representatives from the Nebraska Air National Guard, and they've been helping us with. They'll be helping us with the autograph stations later, but also being escorts for our runners as they bring it now pretty close to the spot where they'll cross the pedestrian bridge.
Jess Gardner, track and field athlete, pole vaulter, something I always wished I could do but can't. Not many can. Cleared 13 feet, from what I understand.
She has cleared 13 feet. I tried pole vault. It did not go well.
Beautiful backdrop of the capital city here, Lincoln, Nebraska. We are currently taking part in the first ever Cornhusker State Games opening night show. Live from the rail yard, you're watching the torch lighting ceremony. Started with Jordy Ball, Husker softball pitcher, now handed off to Jess Gardner.
Jess Gardner just handed it off to Jazz, I believe. Jazz was waiting on that corner, so Jazz Shelley, if you haven't watched Husker women's basketball, what am I saying? You're all sports fans. You've watched Jazz Shelley play ball. How about that basketball player? That's one of those relentless people on the court. She's won honors as, for all-conference defensive player, and she's an excellent shooter, great passer, super teammate.
I think people excited that she decided to come back for one more year. I mean, that's a pretty good thing for all Husker fans here in attendance.
it's huge for everybody in Nebraska. And she said she just did come back from a 3-week trip back home, so she's kind of happy to be back in Nebraska, but also enjoyed herself back in Australia for a few weeks with her family. So the total distance, somewhere around 0.8. So not quite a mile Jordy will run the whole thing, I guess.
Getting close to the final handoff on the other side of this bridge, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it won't be long. You'll be able to see them start to make their way to the upper apron of Pinnacle Bank Arena. The entrance up there is where the last exchange is going to take place. And we actually have a different torch that the actual official torch lighter will use, and they will light from the torch that's being carried so far. So that gives us the amount of fuel and the time we have to make sure there's a flame when Nicklin gets down here to touch off the cauldron.
Absolutely beautiful evening here in Lincoln, Nebraska for the Cornhusker State Games opening night show. As the torch is about to reach its final handoff, the Husker volleyball great, Nicklin Hames.
Final descent coming up. And you'll be able to watch this on News Channel Nebraska, the YouTube channel probably. You'll play the replay of it. So if you want a closer look, we'll have some other camera angles involved when we get the final show put together. And you see now we've touched off the final torch, and our Huskers are leading the National Guard soldiers down here. So it's about time to let them know that you're here and that you appreciate all of their efforts, all of their sports efforts over the years, and that they're representing Nebraska and representing all of the Cornhusker State Games athletes this year.
There we go. Let's keep the clapping going as they're on the final stretch. Nicklin Hames, Jazz Shelley, Jess Garner, and Jordy Ball bringing the torch down for the Cornhusker State Games to get all of the festivities started.
I'm going to get out of the way. It's time to let them do this.
And with that, we will take another break. We're going to hear from these Husker greats on the other side of this commercial break on News Channel Nebraska. You're watching the Cornhusker State Games opening night show here on NCN.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're here at the grill, waiting for the flip.
He has a great hot lie here on the grill. Looks like he is going with the tongs here, Jim. A great choice.
Timing is everything.
Nailed it. A flip for the ages. What a flip. Perfect marks. I'd take a slice out of that one.
Certified Piedmontese, real Nebraska beef. So tender and dripping in flavor, you won't believe a steak this good can be shipped right to your front door.
The Nebraska Sports Council proudly salutes the following contributing partners of Cornhusker State Games opening night: Highland Dairy, Complete Weddings and Events, Digital Sky, News Channel Nebraska, and the Nebraska Air National Guard.
My favorite part of broadcasting is being out among the people and in the communities that we serve. I'm Mike Flood. I'm originally born in Norfolk. My title is founder, but my favorite part of being in this business is telling people stories and celebrating the good things that are happening in rural Nebraska. In cities like Columbus and Norfolk and Beatrice and Grand Island, Scotts Bluff and Ord, Nebraska. Our kids have the same hopes and dreams as kids in a bigger city that get the coverage. But with News Channel Nebraska, now they do get the coverage. There's nothing more gratifying than knowing that you made a night special for a bunch of families in Osmond, Nebraska by broadcasting their game. And it makes people feel good about where they live.
Welcome back to Lincoln, Nebraska. Cornhusker State Games opening night show. And we have the Huskers who just did the marathon to light the torch behind us. We're going to hear from all of them. Let's give another round of applause for Jordy Bull, Nicklin Hames, Jess Gardner, and Jazz Shelley. All right, Jordy, we're starting off with you, and you have some history with this event being the torchlighter not long ago, in fact, last year. So how did it feel to come back and do it again in your home state, wearing that Husker hat and going to be a Nebraska softball player next year?
Well, I would say it was really cool last year, but there's a few things that make this year extra special. And that, like he said, is just being able to wear Nebraska and just represent this state in the best possible way by wearing the N. And also just getting to do it with these girls who are also great Nebraska athletes. And so just being able to do this all together has been part of what made this extra special.
Now, what has it been like? I can imagine, but I want to hear it from your perspective since you let the world know you're coming back to wear the scarlet and cream. What have you been hearing from the Husker faithful?
It's just been crazy, absolutely crazy. Open arms, nothing but love, and Husker Nation is just showing how cool and supportive that they are, and it's the best feeling this warm welcoming from everybody.
Well, you're getting another welcome right now. Everyone very happy you're back in Lincoln. Lastly, what message do you have for the Cornhusker State Games athletes as they are striving to excel in whatever game or sport they may be partaking in these next couple of weeks?
I would just say keep working hard, have fun, know that you're representing yourself, your team, but you're also representing the state of Nebraska in the Cornhusker State Games. And so do that with pride, and like I said, have fun doing it.
One more round of applause for Jordy Ball as she now hands it off to Jess Gardner, who has participated in the state games being a Lincoln native.
Yes, I have.
What do you remember from your experience as a track athlete in the Cornhusker State Games? Anything stick out?
Yeah, so I did the Canopy Street Vault, which was actually right down here, and I also did gymnastics growing up as a kid in the Cornhusker State Games. So it's really cool to see it all come full circle and now be here today.
And what does it mean to be a part of this specifically and that very iconic run you just took part in?
Yeah, it's really special. Like Jordy said, like this amazing group of women. I think having that when I was little, just like a group of Husker athletes to look up to, it's really special and exciting to be here.
Lastly, what made you decide to become a pole vaulter? And secondarily, what does it take to clear 13 feet? Because I think a lot of people would like to do it, but being able to is a whole nother thing.
Yeah, it definitely takes courage. I did gymnastics for a long time, so pole vault's a pretty common route, but lots of practice and bravery, yeah.
Practice, bravery, and courage. You heard it from Jess Gardner. One more round of applause for Jess Gardner. As we now hand the mic to Jazz Shelley, who is coming back for another season with the Husker basketball program. So let's just go straight into it. Jazz, why? What went into the decision to come back for that final year?
That's a great question. There was a lot that went into it. I mean, being from Australia, I'm so far away from home, and my family means a lot to me, so that was definitely the biggest part of my decision, was being back in Australia. But Lincoln and the whole state of Nebraska has welcomed me as well with open arms, and it feels like a family away from home, and I'm not going to get an experience like this again, so I thought, why not take one more year?
Round of applause. How long's the flight?
14 and a half hours from San Fran.
14 and a half from, so you still have to do another connecting flight.
Yeah, then you have to get to Omaha.
Oh my gosh. Moe, that's where you're from?
Yes.
And that's how you pronounce it, Moe?
Moe, yeah.
Do they have anything like the Cornhusker State Games, or what is the closest thing to it in Moe, Australia?
We don't have anything remotely close, no. It's a very small town and nothing like this, and I think it's incredible. I mean, just an event like this and the people that showed out today and the games hasn't even started is just a credit to who Nebraska is.
Round of applause for Jazz Shelley. And now the official torchlighter, Nicklin Hames, wrapping up an amazing career with the Husker volleyball program. So Nicklin, as the torchlighter, you join a very prestigious list. Husker greats Alex Gordon, Eric Crouch, you may know Jordan Larson, all have done what you just did. So when you kind of put that in context, how does that make you feel standing here right now?
It's just such an honor. This place has meant so much to me these last 5 years. It's had such a big impact on me, and it's changed my life, and it was the best decision I've ever made. So just to be on that list and be in this moment right now, it's really special.
Looking back on your career, pretty decorated. Does anything stick out specifically now that it's all said and done that you're going to remember most?
Just the fan support. It was unlike any other place. And just to see you guys there at every game, cheering us on, even at away games, it was so special and something I'll look back on for the rest of my life. Just Husker Nation in Nebraska is so special, and you'll never find a better place.
Well, lastly, everyone's sad your career's done, but happy for what you did. What's next? I have a feeling it's volleyball, right?
It is. I am getting into coaching, so I'm doing club and then also helping out Nebraska and hoping to inspire the next generation of volleyball players.
Round of applause for Nicklin Hames and all of these athletes one more time who took their time out here today to be a part of this great event. Dave.
Hey.
Should we bring this thing home?
Let's do it. Thank you all. That was outstanding, amazing, and you're all great representatives for the Nebraska athletes. There is still time to sign up for most sports in the Cornhusker State Games. So if you're out there and you're not signed up yet, go to cornhuskerstategames.com. The deadline for most sports is July 11th. There's more than 70 sports. There is something you can do. Remember that. And those of you who are registered, get out there, do your best, and go for the gold. We're excited to have you here tonight. We're looking forward to a great Cornhusker State Games. I want to thank Brandon, the whole crew at News Channel Nebraska, Digital Sky, all of our production people for helping put on a great event, the Pinnacle Bank Arena folks. It was an awesome time tonight. Of course, all of you who joined us tonight, give yourselves a hand.
And with that, that concludes our Cornhusker State Games opening night show. Thank you again so much for attending, and those watching across the state. You heard Dave. Sign up, compete, and support the greatest competition in the state of Nebraska. We're signing off. This is Brandon Axmit for News Channel Nebraska in Lincoln.
This special presentation has been brought to you in part by Arby's, Visit Lincoln, and by Liberty First Credit Union.